Hello. I am making this video from what feels like my deathbed. This is a video for any mums who are experiencing their first trimester of pregnancy, and it is hopefully a way to help you feel seen and validated and not alone in your experience. First trimester of pregnancy can often be hard because you're not openly sharing with every single person that you're pregnant. You're wanting to wait a little longer, maybe make sure the pregnancy quote unquote sticks, or that you're not telling the whole world only to have to explain pregnancy loss later if that becomes part of the story, which would be hard in and of itself. And so you are then stuck between these two worlds where you are pregnant and feeling terrible, at least for me and many women, but also in trying to stay, by all appearances, normal, so that no one guesses or that you don't let on that you are pregnant. And hi, Clay.
You feel better in your tummy?
I don't feel better in my tummy. Thank you for asking, though. I'm just doing a little video.
Hey, why are you cheesing?
Pardon?
Why are you cheesing?
Why am I cheesing? Because I'm talking to the video. You want to come up? You can. And so you're trying to step between and saddle these two different worlds.
That's a toy train.
This isn't Toy Trains, babe. This is Mummy doing a video recording.
I just pretending.
Ah, you.
I
And then the truth of it is that you're at home and your 3-year-old is playing PlayStation while you're trying to stay alive. All right, babe. I'm going to do some more video. Do you want to go back and play?
No, I just watch the video. I just want to cheese.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Cheese. Okay, so really trying to straddle those two worlds of trying to survive, and for me it has literally been feeling like I'm just trying to survive, but also at the same time presenting a regular, normal, energetic front to work, and trying to, by all appearances, be keeping up, and it is really hard. And I want to just speak to anyone who is in their first trimester and, like I said, help you feel validated in your experience and help you feel seen. I have found, for me particularly, that I have had relentless, all day from wake to sleep, nausea and some vomiting, and it just, there is no consistent rhyme or reason to what I can eat or can't eat, or can drink or can't drink. It switches all the time, which has made things incredibly hard because thinking about food or thinking about drinking something makes me feel sick and I'm ravenously hungry and seriously dehydrated. And so my body is in this, my mind is in this conundrum of whatever I think about is influencing me to feel sick, but I'm so hungry that I constantly am thinking about what can I eat, and literally having to smell different foods to see if I agree with it or don't agree with it, in terms of like dry heaving or feeling sick instantly. And it has just been so difficult to know what to eat. And then the second, if anything, even if it's going to stay down, or if it's fantastic in the moment and then violently reoccurs a couple of hours later, it's been very frustrating and very depleting. Certainly, the whole concept of putting on weight during pregnancy, that wasn't a thing for me with Clay, for similar reasons of just not actually having enough space within my body when he was when I was in the 3rd trimester, and certainly feeling sick in the 1st with him, and then same for this pregnancy. There has been 0 weight gain because I just can't eat the foods, which has been, I mean, it sounds great, but it really is not at all. I'd prefer to be eating healthy and, you know, nourishing meals, but have found that so hard. The second thing that has been full on, which is pretty consistent for most women, is just the level of fatigue and feeling so exhausted. Hence why, like, I'm in bed in the middle of the day, and when Marv is at work and I am home, and, you know, I'm obviously the sole carer on those days for my boy. And then just for those who, you know, are in their 1st trimester and have kids already, for me it's just been the absolute non-negotiable request of my body to sleep during the day, but also wanting to care for my 3-year-old and wanting him to feel loved and, you know, having someone to play with. And prior to this, we would be on an adventure every day. We go do something fun together, the library, the zoo, the pool, friends, you know, etc. And not being able to do that with him on any consistent basis whatsoever. We did make it to the pool the other day with a splash park in it. I was just vomiting in a bag on the highway on the way. Like, it's just watching him suffer because I'm suffering. It has been probably one of the hardest pieces. He hopped into bed with me the other evening, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, and just, he was burst into tears, and I just said, "What's wrong, bub? Are you okay?" And he just said, "I miss my mum." And I said, "What do you mean? I'm right here. What do you mean you miss me?" And he just said, "My mum is always sleeping." And he was so genuinely upset. Like, he was really crying from his heart, and I just, this is for me personally why I waited so long to potentially have another baby, because he is such a beautiful little sensitive being and a little Scorpio moon, and feels for people so deeply that I knew that this fracture in our relationship that was inevitable would be really hard for him, and so that has been probably the most heartbreaking element of being pregnant for me this time. Wasn't a factor last time, of course. I could just, you know, be woe is me all the time last time and rest when I needed to, and, you know, move around as I needed to, whatever I needed to do. But this time I have another little heart that is watching and cares for me, but also feels lonely because of this. And I think that's probably been the hardest emotional piece, the nausea and the fatigue being the hardest physical piece. I've tried lots of things, you know. I've been doing the homeopathy with a homeopath, and an excellent homeopath, and acuneedling with a midwife trained specifically in pregnancy based and postnatal based acupressure points and acuneedle points, and I've been doing ginger capsules and like all the vitamins and blah blah blah. I've been trying all of the things, and the oils in different capacities depending on what I need, and all of these have, you know, given me a you know, small changes, and that has been really good. I think without them I really felt like it would have been a much bigger struggle, but certainly none of them, even when they're put together, help you feel like you're quote unquote back to normal. And there's been so much resistance in me, and so much of myself just wanting to be back to normal. I think you realize as a mum, when you do become incapacitated, like you really are genuinely bedridden sick, because that's about the only time where you actually can have a break. Lol. And I have a great supportive partner and all of that, but you really do feel the weight of not being able to do the things you would normally do that keep the household running in the way that you personally like and feel comfortable in, and but also just that makes you feel like you're looking after your family. So for me, that I haven't been able to cook dinners. I just can't stand there and cook and smell. It just makes me feel so wretched, and usually the evenings are the worst time of day for me. Excuse me. Are the worst time of day for me in terms of the nausea. And so, you know, it's been frozen meals and frozen pies and frozen lasagnas, and Marv, you know, he's great too. He'll do usually like steak and veg and steak and mash and all that kind of stuff, but I just can't deal with red meat, so he's had to cook it outside. But even then, like, all the doors and windows have to be kept shut, and if it's cooked inside, like, I'm cactus, I'm done. Like, it's just, I just feel horrible. And so you know, not being able to nourish them, you know, in a good way has been challenging. But then also just, you know, watching the washing pile up, and no one's putting the towels away, and no one's, you know, attending to little things in the bathroom, or the kitchen benches aren't clean the way I like them, and the dining table doesn't get wiped, and it's just the tiny little things, but when they all accumulate and you just don't have the capacity to attend to them, even though in the long run they don't matter, but to me they matter, and to me they matter. And so feeling claustrophobic and stuck in your own body, in your own vessel, not being able to escape at any point, just not feel nauseous for a moment, or to be able to get out of your own self so that you can attend to these things, or just be back to the way you were so that you can go for a walk, or hit the gym, or do the groceries without feeling disgusting, or look after your kid, or play trains, or just the simplest drive somewhere. Just the simplest things become so difficult or impossible, or have to actually just be put on hold, and there's nothing you can do about it. And to feel incapacitated in that way, for me, I'm very independent. I like to just get things done the way I like to get things done, and to suddenly not be able to do any of those things is mentally horrendous for me. And yes, it's a time period, and yes, it will pass, and I'm very grateful in that. I think in the last week I've started to see little pockets of, you know, blue sky. But it's such a challenge, and this first trimester, you know, sometimes it lingers for women. Sometimes these feelings, they stay. They can't eat anything, and just getting a visitor. So some women can have this all the way through. Hyperemesis gravidarum is something that I have not had, technically speaking, and I just do not understand, and like bow down to and commend any woman who ever moves through that, and certainly any woman who moves through that and has more kids. I think you're a literal warrior in every sense, but particularly mentally speaking. You have to be a special breed to be able to navigate that in your mind, and I commend you. I think that is and so anyone experiencing these first trimester ups and downs, there are lots of different options and help, and I've certainly been monitoring myself just simply by being aware of where I'm at and asking myself, do I need help here? Am I at a place where I need medication for nausea, for the sake of my mental health? Do I need help with my mental health? Do I need to be speaking with a doctor about, getting a referral throughout this time period? Please be aware that antenatal, so during pregnancy, depression is a very real thing. And so if you're finding yourself really low in your mind space, that to reach out and ask for help. Or if you're finding that the nausea is creating a depression within you, then reach out for help. And I haven't found myself yet at that point, although I felt like if it continued the way it had been, that would have been something that I absolutely did do for myself, is get help in that regard, because when you are nauseous all day, you can't think about food, but you're ravenously hungry, you're exhausted, you're feeling like you're not able to be in your capacity in any other area of your life. Like my favorite thing to do is, if I have a shower in the morning, I can just, that sets my brain up for the day. But the shower was too hot, even to just have the water was just, I have to be cold at the moment, like so cold. The aircon is on, my water has to be icy cold, everything has to be cold. I feel so hot within my body, all of the things that it's physically doing to grow a human. And like even just to have a shower was difficult because I was just too hot, and I have cold showers. Like I always end my showers with cold, and so it would just be warm. I'm just trying to be normal and a normal human, and use soap and shampoo and things, and just found that even so hard, and it's so exhausting and so taxing, and it takes away all of those simple pleasures potentially that you experience every day. Like I haven't been able to drink any hot drinks until the last week, which has just been green tea, and have felt a bit sick off the back of it, so have stopped that. But no coffee. I went from 2 to 3 coffees a day to none, which was another whole thing. I just had no choice. My body just said, you're not drinking that. And so the simple pleasure of it makes me sad. It's like, it seems dumb, but it's just these simple pleasures that daily build this deliciousness to life that sometimes in the first trimester are all taken from you. So the joy you get with hanging with your kids, the joy you get from your morning coffee, the joy you get from a really nice shower, the joy you get from a healthy but delicious meal that you were looking forward to, the joy you get from good sleep, the joy you get from a clean home, like the satisfaction you get from work, like all of these things are ripped out from under you like a carpet, and you suddenly just aren't able to find the same joy in any of these things, and so you can be left feeling very depleted and lonely and emotional and depressed. And that's all within reason and makes perfect sense, and it's not because your emotions are heightened because of all your hormones, although that may be a factor. It's not fair to say to women, it's just because you've got your hormones are going crazy that you've got all of these feelings. No, it's actually because legit everything is changing for you, and it's not all comfortable at all. And there's so much adapting mentally that you have to do moment to moment that you normally don't during your day. And if these things would be these moments of dopamine and of joy that you would normally have in your day, if they were ripped out from under anyone who wasn't pregnant, they would also feel as shit. So please don't let anyone tell you that your emotions are just because you're pregnant. It's like, no, it's because you're going through a hard fucking thing. So you can just give them the bird. But that can be why, because you suddenly don't have these moments where your mind was usually and primed to, you know, get these moments of pleasure. Like, I can't sit outside and have my feet on the grass and play with my son because it's too hot. Like, it's so simple, but I can't ground myself in that way anymore, electromagnetically, which is why my partner, this is so off topic, but my partner bought some grounding rods and did some research, and he did this before I was pregnant actually, but it's just coincided so beautifully. And so that's why we have this like string coming in through the window and attached to tent pegs. We haven't got the proper legit stuff yet. He just got the grounding poles and sort of made it work before the rest of the stuff arrives. But it's similar to, you know, I just have this and I put it down my pajamas. It sits on my tent peg, sits on my skin and connects me to the earth outside, in terms of the electromagnetic field that the earth offers us and helps ionize your system. It actually makes me feel so much less sick when I'm lying in bed at night if I'm holding my grounding peg, or my grounding peg is against my body. But these simple things of like being outside and in the sunshine, and they're all potentially gone, and that can be extremely hard. And so it's not necessarily because you're just an emotional pregnant person. Maybe there's some shit that's hard, you know? And so, yeah. And in the moments, in the very small, beautiful moments where you have a flicker of feeling normal, which are rare, like I just want to fill them with everything, and like all the excitement and joy and the things that I'm thinking about, which are totally unrelated to pregnancy, like the creative avenues that I'm, you know, wanting to do around business, and like there's just so much that goes on hold. There's so much that gets paused and or has to take a slower road than you want it to, or than it would usually, if you're within your normal capacities, you know. And patience is, in my human design, is a difficult thing for me. If I think of something and I know how to do it and I can do it myself, I'm doing it now. And I need to practice patience, and like what a perfect prime time to do so, which I have been. But it's not necessarily easy, and some women don't experience the nausea. Most experience the fatigue, but some don't feel gross and they can have what they would like to eat and all of those things. And this is not to say anything bad about that. Like, I think that is such a beautiful thing. I think it can be an amazing way to connect with your baby early, and to just enjoy the joy of being pregnant. And what a gift that is, if that's been your experience, or if that's what you're experiencing. I'm really happy for you. I think that can be such a beautiful introduction to a pregnancy, instead of being, you know, thrown in the gauntlet right from the start. But we have things to learn no matter what path we get set upon, which isn't necessarily our choice. And woman to woman, I wanted to share these feelings while they're raw and present within me, so that I don't forget about things later, and so that you can see that and you can feel that what you're going through is, you're not alone. It's just feels lonely because, you know, it's hard to explain. It's moment to moment. It can change. There's so many variables that come and go, and you just, other women do understand, especially if they've obviously experienced something similar, and they, in the moments where you say it's been hard, they can say, I'm sorry that it's been hard, but no one's with you in the bed while you're trying to not, you know, die, basically. You know, no one's holding your hand the whole way through. You do have to do that for yourself, because it is a very personal moment to moment in life experience, and so it can feel, even though we have that camaraderie woman to woman about, yes, it can be really hard in the first trimester, I can't be there with you and hold your hand when you're vomiting or pull back your hair, or the things we really need, you know. And so you can do this, you can get through it. Make sure you reach out for help if you need to, and just be honest with those close to you if you're willing to share your pregnancy news with them. And it, you know, of course, and I think this next bit just goes without saying, I just can't believe that they're ever put in the same conversation, but I want to be really upfront because I think that can be really helpful. But no matter what you think and how poorly you feel about your experience, it doesn't mean that you don't want the baby. It doesn't mean that you're not grateful. It doesn't mean that you're not excited to be a mother again. It doesn't mean that you don't love your kids who are already earthside. It doesn't mean any of these things. Like, mental health can be a hard thing when you're incapacitated in the first trimester. Very hard to hold on to, and there's been times where I have literally thought, more than one occasion, I want this nausea and stuff to go away and just be done with and pass, or I want to lose this baby, because I just feel so wretched within my body that feels like a preferable option. And that sounds extreme, but the relentlessness of the experience can bring up these different thoughts, and that's okay. Some women don't even want to live through their first trimesters, or their even if it goes for longer than that, of course. They have thoughts of just not wanting to live, and you know, being okay if the baby is lost. And like, I can settle alongside that feeling, and I can settle alongside those thoughts, and it doesn't mean that they are what you really truly want. It just means that you so desperately want reprieve for a moment that you're just trying to look at your ways out, and that's okay. It's okay to do that. It doesn't mean that you're going to be a terrible mother. It doesn't mean that you don't care about the baby that grows within you. It doesn't mean that you don't want them. It doesn't mean that you don't want your own life. It doesn't mean any of those things. It can just be the desperate desire to escape from what you are currently experiencing. Because when you're in the first trimester, and if you have these symptoms from when you wake to when you fall asleep, there is no escape. Like I said before, you are claustrophobic and stuck within the experience, within your body. You can't say, okay, hun, can you take this for a bit? I'm just going to go and have a massage, or I'm just going to go to Bunnings and get some stuff, or I'm just going to go and sit in a cafe. Like, there is no moment where you don't take this with you, and that can be mentally exhausting. So like I said before, if you're finding that those are recurring thoughts and they're starting to become loud, then please reach out to your GP and work through some options there. Speak to other mothers, of whom you really trust their opinion and their guidance, and make sure that you have eyes on you and help, because it's a tough journey. And why we all have so many children, I never understand. I never do. I work all day with women in clinic and going through this myself again, and I just think we are so committed to the joy that children bring. We are so committed to their beautiful little sunshiny spirits. We are so committed to their, the elevation of the planet through their existence, that we traverse some shit to bring that to life. And I'm so proud of us, and I'm so flawed by us, and I'm so I revere women so much for what we do put up with and move through. We're amazing. We are so amazing. We are so resilient. And so I hope this brings some kind of relief and camaraderie and understanding to your heart, and you can do this. You can do this. I'm saying that to myself, I think, most of all. All right. Speak soon. Bye.